What do you see as the kind of journey most people need to think about before they get to a point that you should be okay to ask for money? Do you feel like there's a graduation, a minimum work requirement, or maybe none at all?
Well, I just want to go back a little bit to my own journey on that level. It was like I made this decision that if my agenda was filled up with the people that paid me 50 Belgian francs, then I would double. So I made that decision to myself. So suddenly my agenda was over full. And I was like, there's no space anymore. So then the next month I would say to people, look, it's 100. Yeah. And they were like, nobody said no to it. And then I said, okay, till that was full. I was like, it's 200 now. Right. So it's like, I did law school. So we learned also economics. So it's like, demand and, an offer. Right. And I was like, well, when I'm finished, with that amount of people, then I will go and double. And I started doing that. And before I knew it, I was just like every 6 months I had to like and double my price. But I always, when I work with people that have done trainings with me and they're like, when can we ask something? I tell them always, look, take 10 clients for free. Yeah. Just don't go beyond that. Yeah, get yourself like 10 clients. And from that moment on, I always tell them, look, the first year, this is what I would suggest you ask for a consulting. Yeah. So I give them some indications, right? And then, people that have studied this work, I mean, it's a long process of working. They do a lot of practice during the certification already, then take 10 clients for free. And the only thing you ask for as a return is a testimonial to get on your, social media or, on your website. At least you have some testimonials. And then, start asking, this is the first year. And then if you have done that, you can go to this. So I kind of indicate them because I felt so lonely myself. And because there was nobody telling me when and where and what to ask, that I'm kind of guiding people. And sometimes I see some of my consultants like, sweetheart, you're already doing this for 5 years at this price. When are you upping your price? You know, but also you need to find a balance. If nobody pays you for that price in your country, then perhaps the price is a little bit too high. Perhaps you have to find a balance because if somebody in Mexico is getting paid, the wages are lower, right, than perhaps in the US. So you need to find that balance for sure. And sometimes I say to people, just, let's have a conversation and see what is the right balance for you. But if nobody signs up for you, then probably you have not enough done, practice. Yeah. Or perhaps you also ask too much because sometimes people tell me, yeah, I want to get paid right away, $5,000. I'm like, to be honest, I wouldn't pay that to you. And I tell them very honestly, I said, how long it took me to get that paid, $5,000, right, for this kind of work. You need to already have done the practice, the hours. You need to already really integrated this information. Because I know right now there's a lot of like this, I don't know, certifications. And they're like, after you've done that, you can ask this. And I'm like, can they? I sometimes question that, to be honest. Yeah, because I wouldn't pay it because they are too green behind the ears, as we say that in my language. They haven't integrated the information yet. Yeah, and perhaps they have learned a lot, and of course they are saying in certifications like, yeah, if you pay so much certification, you'll be able to pay that, but. A lot of these people don't make that kind of money because you have to show a certain level of maturity in your field. Yeah, that's what I do believe in.
I was first of all, I'm so happy that you're giving this sobering advice. We have a funny quote here, and it is slightly offensive, but I think it's worth saying. Is there's a prayer that we say as a joke is, Lord, please give me the self confidence of a 21-year-old life coach. Because there's a huge amount of overconfidence you have in your early 20s. And I speak that even for myself, being a kind of marketing and sales consultant. In my 20s, I was so self-confident that I knew everything. I had the Midas touch, and only to realize very shortly after that, it's like, oh, wait, I don't know as much as I think I know. There's so much I
Yeah.
don't know. And so the second thing I really like about what you share is a system of doubling your prices only when you get busy. I had this moment where I hadn't figured out my own product market fit. I hadn't had my offer set up, and there was nothing that was as stressful or feeling demoralizing as not being busy enough. And in your case, you found yourself being able to climb with your busyness and raise your prices. I hated the fact when I had not enough busyness with work, it almost becomes a downward spiral. Nobody wants to work with you and you're not busy. And so finding that initial momentum and almost like priming the pump, you could say, to get the initial clients coming in, keeping you busy. And now I find it so interesting is at the time where I'm the most booked, the most people want to work with me. It's funny how that works. And I know
It
in
is.
your situation, you're definitely at a point like that because you've kept doubling and you still have a backlog of people that want to work with you.
Yeah. Well, after having these one-to-one sessions and I started becoming aware, I did not have enough time for everything, right? So that's how when I started going and working for groups, and did seminars because first of all, not everybody could afford my prices anymore. That was one thing. But at the same time, they still needed some of the information. So I would then do like ticket sales for a seminar. And before I knew it, I saw 3,000 people a month. And that's a very small country to see that. And it was like, wow, there's this information. And then I started like, okay, I can't do this myself anymore. So then I started training people to take over some of the classes because it suddenly just opened up. And it was also very important. And we and I have talked about that a lot. It's like, if you work with one person, we work with a group, you need to be such a generosity of heart and mind. I would always give more time and more energy, and people love that generosity and giving the extra mile, going the extra mile for my clients. And so, and then I had this basic group of people that then after a while, I had to say, like, my God, you have to have a waiting list of 6 months. Like, I didn't want people to have that. So then start training others to say, like, look, you know, you can, and that's really interesting because you're like, I do this naturally. I've never been trained before. So now I had to like train people, right? And before I knew it, these trainings were full, right? So it was like, then I had to ask somebody else to do the trainings for me, even to train the people to take over the sessions. So I really have to be honest, nobody gave me any feedback how to do it. There was no system like this in Belgium. I mean, I didn't know the systems in the USA. I had no idea about all of that, right? I just figured it out along the way, to be honest. And because I was always thinking, how can I reach more people? That was like my mantra, right? Show me how. And then I just would get ideas like, oh, I could do a certification program. I could do this. How do I see it? Oh, I'll teach them. At that time, it was not online, right? I was like, okay, I'll do 12 Saturdays. And I'm like, no, I would never do that again. Like 12 Saturdays certification. My God, it's like crazy. But hey, that was the way it was at that time. And so, and as I then was going more and more into other countries, I was like, okay, each country has to have somebody holding the space for me and taking care of the people there. So of course, when internet came in, a lot of things changed. And before internet, it was teleconferences. So I was like on the calls, right? It's just like I always went with these new ideas and practicing it and then just coming up with prices. I mean, literally, I would just meditate about this. I had no idea if that was marketing. I didn't have marketing ideas. It's just like it was on the fly, like things happened, right? And then I would like, okay, how much would I charge for them? Go in meditation. That's the price, and I would always trust that these prices were right. Yeah, and then if it was so many people, I was like, okay, we'll double the prices. That's kind of always been my motto, to be honest. And it's like one of the things when people go into certification with me, I would tell them not, you have to wait till everything is full. But if you have like 10, 20 clients that pay you that amount, then I think you're ready for a little bit higher, right? So, but making sure that, if things don't work out, it's perhaps because you're overcharging or you're under delivering. I don't know. You need to have a really good look at yourself sometimes. Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening to the Selling with Love podcast. We have some previous episodes you can tune into right here. And if you prefer the short form content where you get to the point in under 10 minutes, we do have a ton of clips from our best episodes that are being shared on this channel as well. So pick which one supports you the most. And of course, thank you for liking, subscribing, and of course, selling with love.